Every time you refresh your feed, post a photo, or check the weather on your phone, with every single tap, there's this secret conversation happening in the background. It's the conversation that literally powers our entire digital world. So let's pull back the curtain and learn how to speak the internet's native language.
I mean, it really does seem like magic, right? You tap a button on your phone, and boom, brand new information just appears. But how does your app actually know what to ask for? And how does the server on the other side of the world know exactly what to send back?
Well, it's not magic. It all comes down to a shared secret language. Think about it. An app that was built in Tokyo has to be able to talk to a server sitting in California. This common language is the key that makes all of that global, seamless communication even possible. Okay, so that language is called HTTP. You can think of it as the engine of the web. It's the protocol that carries pretty much every single piece of data you see online. So let's get into the hood a little and see how this thing really works. All right, so HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, you can pretty much forget most of that. The only two words you really need to remember are request and response. It's basically a super polite conversation where one side always has to ask first and the other side always has to give an answer. And this whole request-response dance always follows the same three simple steps. 1, your browser, which we call the client, sends out a request. 2, a server, somewhere out there on the internet, grabs that request and processes it. And 3, the server sends a response back. That's literally it. Every single web page you load, every picture you like on social media, it's all following this exact same pattern. But okay, how do we get more specific, right? How does the browser say, hey, I want to see this page instead of, hey, I want to create a new post? Well, that's where request methods come in. You can think of them as the verbs of this secret language. They're the action words. Now, the two you're going to see all the time are get and post. And honestly, it's pretty intuitive. You use get to, well, get information, like when you're loading a web page. And you use post when you want to post new information, like when you're submitting a form or, publishing a comment. But it goes beyond just get and post. There are a couple other key verbs you should know. Let's just think about managing a social media profile, for example. You use post to create your account in the first place. Use get to view all your posts. But what about when you change your profile picture? That's actually a put request. You're updating existing data. And if you delete a comment, yep, you guessed it, that's a delete request. These 4 actions, get, post, put, delete, they cover almost everything you do online. Okay, so we've covered the asking part of the conversation, but what about the reply? How does the server tell our browser if everything went great or if something totally broke? It does that using these simple 3-digit numbers called status codes. The one you're always hoping to see is 200 OK. This is basically the server giving you a big thumbs up. It means, yep, I understood your request, I found exactly what you wanted, and here you go. It's the code for a perfect, successful operation. And then there's the infamous 404 not found. We have all seen this one, right? It just means the server understood what you were asking for, but it couldn't find that specific page or resource. Maybe the link is broken or the page just got moved. Now, a 500 internal server error is totally different. This one is not your fault. It means your request was perfectly fine, but something unexpected broke on the server's side. It's the server's way of saying, oops, I have a problem I need to go fix. And the server's vocabulary goes way beyond just those. For example, a 201 created is like a more specific thumbs up, confirming that yes, your new post was successfully made. Then you've got errors like a 400 bad request, which is the server saying your browser kind of mumbled its words and sent something invalid. Or 401 unauthorized. That's basically the internet's version of a bouncer saying, sorry, members only. So let's step back for a second. We have this language, HTTP, right? It's got its verbs like get and post and its reply codes. But for this to work with millions of apps and servers all talking at once, we need a set of rules. We need a grammar. And that is exactly where APIs come in. They provide the structure for all these conversations. So an API, that stands for Application Programming Interface, is basically a contract. Or a better way to think of it is like a menu at a restaurant. It lists all the available requests a developer can make. The server is promising that if you order something from the menu and you do it in the right format, it will give you back exactly what you expect. Yeah, you can think of the API as the super helpful middleman or translator.
Your mobile app doesn't need to know all the messy details about how to talk to a complex database. Nope, it just makes a clean, simple request to a specific API address or what we call an endpoint, like /users. Then the API does all the heavy lifting in the background, fetches the data, and returns it to the app in a perfect little package. Okay, so theory is great and all, but seeing this stuff in action is way better. So let's take a look at what these HTTP requests and responses actually look like using a real live sample API. All right, first step, we're going to make a simple GET request. We're just asking this specific URL, hey, can you give me a list of all your users? Remember, GET is all about retrieving data. And boom, here's the server's response. It comes back in this format called JSON, which is really just a clean, structured way to organize data. You can see it gives us a whole list, and for each user in that list, we get an ID, a name, an email, all their info. This is the exact data, the payload, that a successful 200 OK status code would deliver. Okay, that was cool. Now let's try to complete opposite. Instead of getting data, we're going to send data to create something brand new. We're going to make a post request to the /posts endpoint to create a new blog post. So to do that, we have to include the actual data for the new post right inside our request. You can see we're sending along a little package with a title, a body for the post, and a user ID. The API gets this package, creates the new post in its database, and then sends back that awesome 201 created status code we talked about earlier. So let's just put it all together real quick. The web runs on this language called HTTP, which is just a constant back and forth of requests and responses. We use verbs, the methods like get and post, to say what we want to do. The server replies with status codes, like 200 or 404, to let us know what happened. And the thing tying this all together? That's APIs, the grammar that keeps these billions of conversations orderly and efficient. You know, once you really understand this fundamental request and response cycle, you start to see that the entire web is just a massive series of these little conversations. And now you have the key to understanding them and even building them yourself. So the only question left is, what kind of conversation are you going to build?